For this lesson, we are going to discuss slope, the relationship between 2 points is defined by their slope. Now there's more than one way to determine slope. One way that one can find out slope is graphically. That means looking at a graph. So the steps to determining slope graphically are: first, count the rise. By rise, we mean how many do we have to go up to get from one point to the other point. Next, we're going to count the run. The run means how far over do we have to go to get to the second point. And lastly, we're going to calculate slope using the formula rise over run. Okay, so let's practice. We have points A and B form this line segment AB here. So let's calculate the slope. How far do we have to rise from A to get to B? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. How far do we run? 1, 2. So our slope is 5 over 2. Okay? Now, how far do we have to rise to get from C to D? We don't rise any. How far do we have to run? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But we really didn't have to calculate the run there, because 0 divided by any number is 0. So our answer is simply 0. Okay, let's look at the next one. E and F. How far do we have to rise to get from E to F? Well, we actually have to go down to get from E to F. We go down 1, 2. We're going down, so that's going to be negative 2. Go over 1, 2, 3, 4. Negative 2 divided by 4 reduces to negative 1/2. Okay, and then lastly, we have G and H. How far do we rise? 1, 2, 3, 4. How far do we run? We don't run any. Remember, you can't divide by 0. So this is actually undefined. Anytime you have a vertical line, the slope is going to be undefined because you cannot divide by 0. Okay? Now, one thing to keep in mind is that when you're going up, that's positive. If you have to go down, that's negative. If you go from left to right, that's positive. If you go from right to left, that's negative. Okay. So we talked about one way to determine slope. Now we're going to talk about another way. So slope can also be determined using an equation. Or a formula. Okay? So, the steps for using a formula are: determine the ordered pair that define the first point, point 1. And remember, an ordered pair is always in the form x, y. So you give the x coordinate first and then the y coordinate. Secondly, we're going to determine the ordered pair of point 2. So the second point. Again, x, y. We're going to calculate the slope using y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So let's go up here and make this a little more clear. So this is going to be x1, this is going to be y1, this is going to be x2, this is going to be y2. Okay? So let's practice. For practice A, we're going to use this line segment here. And it doesn't matter which point we decide to be point 1. We can use either one. Let's try this one. Okay? So first of all, we have to find the ordered pair for this one. So it's -5, +3. Okay? And we have to find the ordered pair for the second one. So it's +5, +5. Okay? Now we said this was 1 and this was 2. It doesn't matter as long as you're consistent. You have to be consistent. So, point 1 is going to be -5, 3. Point 2 is going to be 5, 5. Okay, so now we have to do y2 minus y1. So y2 is 5 minus y1 is 3 over x2 minus x1. x2 is 5 minus x1 is -5 Okay, so 5 minus 3 is 2, and 5 minus -5 is 10. Now 2 divided by 10 simplifies to 1 over 5. So our slope here is 1/5. Okay, let's try the second one. So, example B. Doesn't matter which one we pick as 1 and 2. We just make this one 1 and this one 2. Okay, so we have to find the ordered pair for point 1. So the x-coordinate is -4, the y-coordinate is -2. For point 2, our x-coordinate is 4, and our y-coordinate is -6. Okay, so -4, -2. For our first point, and 4, -6 for our second point. Okay, now again, our formula is y2 minus y1, so y2 is -6 minus y1 is -2 over x2, which is 4, minus x1, which is -4. So, negative minus simplifies to plus. Okay, so -6 plus 2 is -4 over 4 plus 4 is 8. So this simplifies to -1/2. There you go. Now try some practice problems on your own.